You're driving down the highway. You are not hungry. You just ate an hour ago. You have snacks in the car. You told yourself no fast food today. And then you see it, the golden arches, and something happens inside you. A pull, a craving, almost like your stomach just woke up from a deep sleep. You tell yourself just this once. But here's the question nobody ever asks. Why did that happen? Why did two yellow curves make your body physically crave food you did not even want 5 seconds ago? Most people think it is the smell, or the memory, or just weakness in the moment, but the real answer is far more disturbing than that. What happened to you on that highway was not random. It was not accidental. It was a deliberate psychological trick, carefully engineered, deeply calculated, and the most shocking part of all is that McDonald's did not invent it. The ancient Egyptians did, over 3,000 years ago, and every single fast food chain on the planet has been using it on you ever since. By the end of this video, you will never look at a fast food restaurant the same way again, because once you see this, you cannot unsee it. Let's go back 3,000 years. Ancient Egypt. Most people think of pyramids and pharaohs and gold, but here's what almost nobody talks about. The ancient Egyptians were among the greatest psychologists in human history. They did not call it psychology, but they understood something that most modern people still do not. They understood that human beings are not rational creatures. We are sensory creatures. Our senses control our emotions, and our emotions control every decision we make. The Egyptian priests built their temples using this knowledge as the foundation. Every single element of those temples was designed to make people feel specific things. The colors on the walls were not decorative. They were chosen because specific colors triggered specific emotional states in the human brain. The incense burning in every room was not just religious tradition. It was a precise formula designed to bypass rational thought and create feelings of awe, devotion, and desire. The architecture itself, the narrow entrance, the sudden massive hall, the specific lighting, the hard stone seating was all engineered to guide people through a psychological journey they were not even aware they were taking. The Egyptian priests understood something that neuroscientists only confirmed thousands of years later. If you control what a person sees, smells, hears, and physically feels, you control what they want. And if you control what they want, you control what they do. This was the foundation of Egyptian temple design. And it is the exact foundation of every McDonald's ever built. Let us start with the most visible trick, the one you can see from half a mile down the road, red and yellow. McDonald's colors, but look around and you will notice something remarkable. Burger King uses red and yellow. Wendy's uses red and yellow. Pizza Hut uses red. KFC uses red. In-N-Out uses red and yellow. Five Guys uses red and yellow. Almost every major fast food chain on earth uses the same two colors. And people just accept this as coincidence or industry tradition. It is neither. The ancient Egyptians were the first civilization to systematically study the psychological effects of color on human beings. They documented their findings in temple inscriptions and religious texts thousands of years before modern color psychology existed. And what they found about red and yellow specifically is extraordinary. Red is the color of fire and blood. It is the most visually dominant color in the human spectrum. When your eyes detect red, your brain responds immediately with heightened alertness. Your heart rate increases slightly. Your body moves into a mild state of arousal, and critically, your brain sends a signal that reads "Act now." Do not wait. Decide immediately. Red creates urgency in the human nervous system at a level that bypasses conscious thought entirely. Yellow is the color of sunlight and gold. It is the warmest color in the visible spectrum. When your brain sees yellow, it releases a small amount of serotonin, the chemical associated with happiness and well-being. Yellow makes environments feel welcoming and safe, and most importantly for our story, yellow stimulates the appetite. It makes food appear more vibrant and desirable. Ancient Egyptian offering spaces used yellow extensively specifically because it increased the desire to give, to consume, to participate. Now put red and yellow together and you have something remarkable. Red says, "Come here right now." Yellow says, "This will make you happy and you are hungry." Together, they create a subconscious command that hits the human brain before any rational thought can intervene. The combination triggers urgency, appetite, and positive anticipation simultaneously. McDonald's color scientists, and they absolutely employ color scientists, know this precisely. The red triggers your alertness and urgency. You feel drawn. You feel a pull you cannot explain. The yellow triggers appetite and warm, positive feeling. Your brain begins associating those arches with pleasure and reward. And here is the part that should genuinely stop you cold. Studies in visual neuroscience show that color triggers an emotional response in the brain within 90 milliseconds. That is faster than conscious awareness. You feel the pull of those red and yellow arches before your brain has even fully registered what you are looking at. The ancient Egyptians called this the language before words. McDonald's calls it brand identity. The name is different, the trick is identical. Now let us talk about the manipulation that works on you even with your eyes closed. Smell. Of all 5 human senses, smell is by far the most ancient and the most powerful. And the reason comes down to pure neuroscience. Every other sense, sight, sound, touch, taste, travels through your rational brain before reaching your emotional center. There is a filtering process, a moment of interpretation, but the smell is different. Smell bypasses the rational brain entirely and connects directly to the limbic system, the most primitive part of your brain, the part that controls emotion, memory, survival instincts, and desire. There is no filter, no interpretation layer, no rational checkpoint. A smell creates an emotion before your thinking mind has any chance to respond. The ancient Egyptian priests discovered this principle thousands of years ago. They spent generations developing precise formulas of incense, specific combinations of frankincense, myrrh, cedarwood, and over a dozen other natural compounds, each chosen for its specific effect on human emotional states. Some combinations created feelings of reverence and awe, some created calm and openness, and some, the ones used in offering chambers and festival spaces, created hunger. Physical and emotional hunger, desire, the need to give, to consume, to participate. They understood that the nose was the most direct pathway into the human soul, and they used it with extraordinary precision. Now walk toward any McDonald's anywhere in the world. Before you see the menu, before you make any decision, before your rational mind is even engaged, the smell reaches you. That specific, unmistakable combination of frying oil, beef fat, salt, and warm bread. And something ancient inside you lights up. Your mouth begins to water. Your stomach responds. Your body is suddenly, inexplicably, urgently hungry. That smell is not a byproduct of cooking. It is engineered. McDonald's works with some of the most sophisticated flavor and scent chemistry companies on the planet. The precise compounds in that frying oil, the specific blend of beef fat, the exact temperature and method of cooking, all of it is calibrated to produce a specific aromatic signature, one that hits the human limbic system with maximum effect. And the ventilation systems inside every McDonald's restaurant are specifically designed not to keep the smell inside, but to push it outward, into the parking lot, toward the street, toward you. The moment you step within range of a McDonald's, the smell finds you. It enters through your nose. It bypasses your rational mind completely. It hits your ancient limbic brain. And your body responds with a hunger response that feels completely real and completely spontaneous. It is neither. It was aimed at you, deliberately, using a technique first perfected by priests in temples along the Nile 3,000 years ago. Now here's something most people never think about, but once you see it, you will notice it everywhere. The physical design of the restaurant itself. Walk into any McDonald's and look around with fresh eyes. Aggressive, bright lighting. Hard plastic seats. Loud ambient noise from multiple directions. Bold colors on every surface. You might assume this is just a cheap design. Low budget. No real thought behind it. Every single element is calculated, and every single element has a direct parallel in ancient temple architecture. The Egyptian temples used space as a psychological tool with extraordinary sophistication. The entrance to a temple was always narrow and slightly enclosed, creating a sense of transition, of leaving the ordinary world and crossing into something different. Then the main hall opened suddenly into a vast, high-ceilinged space with massive columns and overwhelming scale. This deliberate shift from tight to expansive created a jolt of awe in every visitor. Their rational defenses dropped. They became open, receptive, emotionally available. The lighting moved from bright natural sunlight outside to warm, dim, flickering torchlight inside. This shift served multiple purposes. It created mystery and intimacy. It made the space feel sacred and separate from everyday life. And it made the offerings placed on altars appear to glow with inner light, more beautiful and desirable than they would appear in ordinary daylight. And the seating in offering chambers? Hard stone, slightly uncomfortable, deliberately so. Not because cushions did not exist, but because comfort encourages lingering. Comfortable people stay too long, get distracted, forget their purpose. Uncomfortable seating keeps people alert, focused, and ready to complete their transaction and move on. Now look at McDonald's through this lens. The bright, aggressive lighting serves a precise purpose. It makes food appear more vivid and colorful. It also creates a mild sensory intensity that actually accelerates decision-making. When your brain is slightly overwhelmed by bright light, it defaults to faster, less considered choices. You look at the menu and within seconds, you know what you want. The rational deliberation that might lead you to reconsider or leave is short-circuited by the lighting itself. The hard seats are exactly what the Egyptian priests designed. Comfortable for approximately 20 minutes. After that, your body begins sending signals of mild discomfort. You feel the urge to move, to finish, to leave. McDonald's calls this table turnover. More customers served per hour, more revenue per square foot. But the principle which makes the seating just uncomfortable enough that people do not linger is 3,000 years old. The loud ambient noise is not an accident of poor acoustic design. Research in consumer psychology consistently shows that moderate background noise increases appetite and accelerates eating speed. People eat more and eat faster in noisy environments. Every McDonald's is designed to maintain a specific sound level that keeps this effect active throughout your visit. Get you in, make you want food, make you eat fast, make you leave. The ancient Egyptians maximized devotion and offering per temple visit. McDonald's maximizes consumption and revenue per restaurant visit. The mechanism is the same. Here is something that will make you question every order you have ever placed. You believe you choose what you eat at McDonald's. You look at the menu, you consider your options, you make a decision. This feels like free choice. It is not even close to free choice. The menu board is one of the most sophisticated psychological manipulation tools ever designed for a commercial environment. And its roots go directly back to the marketplace psychology of the ancient world. Ancient Egyptian and later Greek and Roman merchants understood that human beings do not make rational purchasing decisions. We make emotional decisions and then construct rational explanations for them afterward. The skilled merchants of the ancient world used display position, pricing contrast, and bundling to guide buyers invisibly toward the choices that served the seller best. They placed the most profitable items at eye level where the eye naturally rests. They used contrast pricing, showing an expensive item next to a cheaper one to make the cheaper option feel like an obvious bargain even if it was still more than the buyer intended to spend. They bundled items together so the combined price felt like a deal compared to buying each thing separately, even when the buyer did not want all the items in the bundle. McDonald's menu boards use every one of these techniques simultaneously and add several more developed by modern behavioral economists. The highest margin items are positioned at eye level and in the visual center of the board because eye tracking studies show that is where your gaze goes first and stays longest. The combo meal is always presented as the obviously sensible choice. A burger alone costs a certain amount. Add $1 or $2 and you get the burger, fries, and a drink. Your brain registers this as a deal, a smart choice, even if you had no intention of buying fries or a drink when you walked in. The prices end in 99 cents, not because anyone is genuinely fooled into thinking $9.99 is significantly less than $10, but because decades of consumer research show that the brain processes these prices differently at a subconscious level. The discomfort of spending $10 is measurably greater than the discomfort of spending $9.99. The difference is 1 cent. The psychological difference is substantial. And then as you stand at the counter, slightly dazzled by the lights, slightly overwhelmed by the smell, having made your decision faster than you normally would, the person at the register asks if you would like to make that large for just $1 more. This is the upsell. It works on more than 30% of customers who had no intention of spending more money when they walked through the door. Because at that moment, you have already committed. You are already in the purchase mindset. One more small yes feels easy. The ancient priests guided worshippers through a series of progressively larger offerings, a small devotional item at the entrance, a slightly larger offering in the main hall. By the time the worshipper reached the innermost sacred chamber, the expectation of a significant offering felt completely natural. Each small yes made the next yes easier. This is called commitment escalation, and it is one of the most powerful forces in human psychology. McDonald's has built it into every customer interaction. Now here's the final piece. And this one might be the most powerful of all. Why do you keep going back? Not just when you are hungry, not just when it is convenient. There is something else pulling you back. Something that operates deeper than hunger or convenience. Something that feels almost like coming home. The ancient Egyptians built their most powerful psychological tool not into color or smell or architecture. They built it into repetition. Every Egyptian temple ceremony followed an absolutely identical sequence. Same colors, same smells, same sounds, same movements, same emotional journey. Every single time, for generations, for centuries. The priests understood something profound about human memory. When a powerful emotional experience is repeated identically, the brain does not just remember it, the brain encodes it as a deep emotional anchor. And once that anchor is set, encountering any single element of the original experience, a smell, a color, a sound, instantly retrieves the entire emotional memory. The full feeling floods back immediately, before thought, before reason. This is why Egyptian worshippers felt genuine emotion every time they entered the temple. Not because they were fooled, but because their brains had been trained through years of identical repetition to associate that specific sensory environment with deep, meaningful feeling. McDonald's has done this to you, and they started when you were a child. Think about your earliest McDonald's memory. For most people in America and Europe, it involves a parent or grandparent, a special occasion, a birthday treat, a reward for something good, a happy meal with a toy inside, the feeling of being celebrated, of being taken care of joy and excitement and reward. That emotional experience, joy, safety, reward, love, got anchored to every sensory element of that McDonald's visit. The red and yellow, the smell, the specific sounds, the food itself. Your young brain encoded all of it together as a single powerful emotional memory. And McDonald's has spent over 70 years and billions of dollars ensuring that every McDonald's in every country in the world delivers an absolutely identical sensory experience. The same colors, the same smell, the same menu layout, the same sounds, the same taste. Whether you are in Chicago or London or Sydney, the experience is identical, because they know that consistency is what maintains the anchor. Every time you encounter that identical experience, your brain retrieves that childhood emotional memory. You feel, below conscious awareness, a ghost of that original feeling. Safety, reward, happiness, belonging. You are not craving a burger. You are craving that feeling. And you have been craving it since the first time someone who loved you took you there as a child and made you feel special. The Egyptian priests spent lifetimes building emotional anchors that bound generations of worshippers to their temples. McDonald's spent decades building emotional anchors that bind generations of customers to their restaurants. The Egyptian worshipper felt called to the temple by something they could not name or explain. You feel called to the drive-thru by something you cannot name or explain. They are the same feeling, created by the same mechanism, separated by 3,000 years. So let us bring this all together. The red and yellow hits your brain before conscious thought and triggers urgency and appetite simultaneously. Ancient Egyptian color psychology applied to a highway billboard. The engineered smell bypasses your rational mind entirely and creates a physical hunger response before you make any decision. Ancient temple incense science applied to a ventilation system. The architecture overwhelms your senses slightly, accelerates your decisions, keeps you moving fast, and turns your table over before you are fully comfortable. Ancient space design applied to a restaurant floor plan. The menu guides you invisibly toward higher margin items through eye-level placement, contrast pricing, bundling, and the upsell pathway. Ancient marketplace psychology applied to a backlit menu board, and the emotional anchor built through decades of consistent sensory repetition retrieves a childhood memory of joy and safety every time you see those golden arches. Ancient ritual conditioning applied to brand identity. None of this is accidental, not one element. Every color choice, every ventilation decision, every seat design, every menu position, every price ending, every customer interaction script has been deliberately engineered using principles of human psychology that are thousands of years old. The ancient Egyptians used all of this to connect people to their gods, to make people feel devotion, desire, and the compulsion to offer and return again and again throughout their lives. McDonald's uses all of this to connect people to their brand, to make people feel desire, comfort, and the compulsion to buy and return again and again throughout their lives. The goal is different, the human being manipulated is the same, and the techniques refined over 3,000 years from the banks of the Nile to the drive-thrus of the modern world have barely changed at all. Now that you know this, you have something that neither the ancient temple worshiper nor the average McDonald's customer has ever possessed: awareness. You cannot unknow what you now know. The next time you feel that pull driving past the golden arches, you will know exactly what is happening to you. Your color response is being triggered. Your smell memory is being activated. Your childhood emotional anchor is being pulled. And in that moment of awareness, you get to make an actual choice. Maybe you still pull in. A burger is a burger and there is nothing wrong with enjoying one. But you will pull in as a conscious human being, making a genuine choice rather than an ancient sensory program being run by people who understand your brain better than you do. And that awareness, that gap between the trigger and your response, is the only true freedom any of us have in a world that has been engineering our desires since the very first temple was built along the Hungry.